the plots that it's dealing with are fairly routine. You've got a semi love triangle thing going on, and then you've also got the guy, the buddy cop kind of thing going on. They're not reinventing the wheel here, but they are employing different types of stories that they have not done on this show because I'm not, at this point, 3 seasons in, I'm not really sure what kind of show this wants to be.
Yeah. Well, would you want this show to be my thing? What I was saying, like a really WB. I know this was on UPN, but I associate UPN and WB. Remember that tone? WB?
They are actually the same channel, I think, more or less.
Did one buy or absorb the other one at some point?
I think WB turned into UPN.
UPN. So
because I know that only because Buffy started on WB and ended on UPN. So
okay.
I think they kind of morphed into the other.
Well, those networks had a real tone, like Seventh Heaven.
Oh,
is
definitely.
What comes to mind, and Buffy sort of comes to mind, and Enterprise was on there and stuff like that. But I think at this point in Enterprise, I'm really looking for any way that if I were called into this series at this point to how I would make this different from the other Trek series, where I think its main flaw now is that it's extremely redundant of other Trek series, and it's not really trying to do anything. I would have wholeheartedly embraced, if I had seen this episode, I'd be like, we have to wholeheartedly embrace this nonsense melodrama stuff. Like, this is the only thing that I think really works well and is extremely unique for the series. And I think it actually works in the context of a prequel. Like, this episode would seem horrible on TNG and it would seem cheesy on DS9, I think. I think it works in Enterprise. Would you say that you'd want more of this tone, or is this just something they have to space into the series? Do you think it would become overbearing after a while?
I think this is a good way to go, because especially given the overall tone of this plot that they're dealing with is so dark, but they are not really giving in to the darkness of it. They're still trying to, have their Enterprise cake and eat it too. So I think especially with something like this, where it's like, okay, now they've got a destination they're going towards, and it's going to take them 3 weeks or whatever to get there. I think now is a good time to start leaning into this stuff where you get a little bit of cabin fever stuff going on. Cause like I think that would be the most interesting part of this series from a prequel standpoint, is like, sure, this is a Starfleet ship, but nobody on Earth has ever been in space for this long, out this far. Shit's going to happen. It's going to be messy. It's going to be weird. And I welcome that stuff, mainly because, as we were saying, you get more character out of it. Like, there's just so much more interesting stuff going on when you've got these characters interacting with each other, to the point that we were like, yeah, this sci-fi plot, we don't really give a shit about the sci-fi plot.
The main backbone of the season, too, about learning about this.
I want to know how the Mako girl feels about T'Pol and Trip giving each other back massages.
I agree. I would agree with that. That's probably a big statement.
I'm Team Angela. What the hell's her name?
That Mako,
Carol?
the female Cole, right? Mako Cole is all I know.
I'm Team Cole right now. Trip, if T'Pol's going to shut you down and ice you like that, Cole seems very nice. She seems to actually have an interest in you, and not just because and she seems to have more access to her feelings in a way that T'Pol doesn't, because she's a Vulcan and has to repress that stuff. But I'm sure that's going to come up later. I'm just saying, she seems very nice. You can do. I'm not going to say you can do better than T'Pol, but you gotta know when it's time.
I mean, those FSU girls, I guess Trip would be familiar with.